Hello, my name is Enrica Jang. I am Executive Director of Poe Baltimore and the Awards Administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards, a new honor presented by Poe Baltimore and the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm so very pleased to be here this evening with Janice E.C. Coleman, one of the nominees in the original works inspired by Edgar Allan Poe category for her novel Night Walker. Janice, welcome, and please tell us about your incredible novel.
Well, Night Walker is about a young woman named Anna who moves to London, and she is really into scary things, horror stories, Halloween she loves. So she attends a ghost tour, and during that ghost tour, she has a really uncanny experience. She meets the ghost tour guide, who's an Englishman, also young, like 30, 31, and they actually hit it off. And it's basically about their relationship, but with the paranormal in the background, and how they get through a lot of kind of eerie things, things in Tom, who's the ghost tour guide, his past, and how it all kind of comes together at the end. So that's basically what it's about. I don't like to give too much away if people want to read it. So.
No, absolutely. What is the inspiration from Poe, or how did you find Poe and then do this wonderful?
So, I mean, to be honest with you, the inspiration came from me being at a ghost tour and just kind of pondering, there was a window and I'm looking at the window and I didn't see a ghost, but I kept thinking about it. And I thought, I've never read a book about, a ghost tour guide, but Poe has, I mean, it's impossible to write a book, especially a scary book, without his influence. There's so many elements in the book that has his influence in it. Pin in the Pendulum, there's a torture scene, Man of the Crowd, there's a following scene. There's definitely William, kind of the split personality aspect of that one. So because Poe is so prolific in how many, within the genre, how many themes that he used, which was incredible. So I tried to put those themes or a bunch of those themes in the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that sort of unites all of us, like Poe is such a deeply personal love of Poe and just the experience of Poe. His work intentionally inspires these kind of primal emotions. How did you come to Poe? What was your first? I make him sound like a religion. It's not a religion, but how did you discover Poe?
I think it was high school. We read a bit of his in high school, and you read things like Lord of the Flies, which was also a horror book as well. But it just was really cool to be able to read his stories, at that age. So I read a bunch of his stories again recently. And I'm looking through, I'm like, oh yeah, I read this, in high school, I remember this, so just going back to them was pretty neat to do. But yeah, high school, I mean, that's where I first saw his writing.
Keeps you awake in English class, and then all that stuff kind of stays with you. No, same experience for me as well. Well, tell us about your writing career. What other work what are you working on now, and how did you become a novelist?
This was my first book. When I was a kid, I mean, I used to write quite a bit. I wrote some short stories, generally always with some kind of horror part of it, because I just was always into it. Yeah, exactly. So, and when I wanted to, I think everybody dreams of writing a novel, at least at one point, and I just did it. It took me a long time, on and off a few years to actually do. Sometimes I'd have writer's block, but it just was an interesting process where I would write something and didn't necessarily know where I was going with it. And it just kind of came out as my process. Like, thinking of something to write to me, that's hard to do. But if I'm writing it, then it comes to me. So it's just really neat. I assume artists have the same experience. They probably don't have the whole picture in their head, but as they're painting something or drawing something, I would imagine that, oh, I could do this now. Things just kind of snowball into that in a good way.
Well, what are you
Yeah.
working on? You must be working after, being recognized for this wonderful novel, your first novel. What are
Mhm.
you working on now, or what are your plans?
I mean, I'm trying to write a sequel. I've started it. I sometimes, to be honest with you, I get in my head a little bit and try to get the picture in my head before I write it instead of trusting the process. And I really should trust the process because that's how I wrote this book. But I did start it. I'm a few chapters in, wanting to, the Halloween month, October, always inspires me. There's just something in the air. I don't know what it is, but that always helps.
Well, it is the most wonderful time of the year,
It
Halloween.
is. Yeah.
It is. Well, at the time of this recording, we are just a few weeks away from National Novel Writing Month. So, a
There
little
you
bit of
go.
emphasis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it is wonderful to chat with you. Please share with us how people watching can find your novel now, and then how they
Okay.
can find you for the rest of your work.
So my website is www.night-walker, here's the book, .weebly, that's WEEBLY.com. And on the website, you can look, there's a spot where you can buy it. You can get it through Amazon, or you can contact me and I can, send out a signed copy. I have done book signings in the past, but because of COVID, it's a little difficult to do that now, unfortunately. So that's probably the best way to get in contact me, because that's on my site. Also on my site, you'll see a lot of inspiration because the book is set in London. I traveled to London to help embellish the book, and there are a lot of pictures from London. There's a playlist of the music that I listen to and the main characters listen to. So it's a little interactive that way. It's kind of a fun website to poke around in.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. I didn't know about the playlist.
Yeah.
I'm excited to find this. That's really, really great. Well, thank you, Janice Coleman, for this wonderful book. Congratulations on this nomination for your debut novel. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Wonderful.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Janice is wonderful, and I get teased every once in a while because I am very smiley and happy when I talk to people, especially when it comes to the Saturday Visitor Awards folks. But I am extremely just thrilled and happy that we had so many wonderful entries from around the world for last year's awards, and then just the wonderful crop of nominees and winners that we had for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Enrica Jang. I am the executive director of the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, Poe Baltimore, and the awards administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards, in honor recognizing artists and writers, a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to show a brief video about the guidelines. We have a lot of questions from folks about who may enter, how they may enter, and then we will have a chat this evening if you would like to send questions my way about specifically about the Saturday Visitor Awards. So we'll start right here. So a quick correction on that video, we're showing a little bit early. The call for entries will open January 19th, 2021 on Edgar Allan Poe's 212th birthday. The purpose of these sessions is to get to know all of you and to introduce you guys to the guidelines for the awards, answer any questions that anybody may have, and then also maybe even get into the guts of the guidelines, really talk about what works may be, if you have questions about the works that you have done as a creator inspired by Poe, where you fall in the categories, and what might be something interesting to contribute for the award. So I will start with a couple of sort of high level, quick, frequently asked questions, answers to those questions, and some tips. First, of course, dates to remember. January 19th, significant date. Poe's birthday. Call for entry officially opens January 19th. Our May 30th is the deadline to enter. So you have from January 19th to May 30th to enter. July 30th is about the time that we do announce the nominees. There are 2 categories, up to 10 nominees in each category to be announced, and then the winners announced at the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards in Baltimore next year. It'll be October 2nd. Now, entry guidelines, you can download those entry guidelines, take a look, you can either read them or take a look at them and download them at our website, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, right at the top here. Some frequently asked questions on that website, but also an opportunity to send us your questions. And you want to make sure that you send us your questions via email or even live tonight, send your comments our way. What we sort of discourage you to do is please don't send us a message via Facebook or send us a message on Twitter, tag us on Twitter asking specifically about your entry, because unfortunately staff won't answer. We have different folks working in different parts of that. So if you do have a question, personal question that you want to send, contact at poefestinternational.org, and then that's the quickest way to get something a little bit more specific to you. But tonight is an opportunity now, tonight in the comments, if you want to send any questions our way, you can send those tonight. So a brief overview of the categories that we have. Saturday Visitor Awards are awarded in 2 categories: adaptations of Poe's life or works. Examples of this may be portraits. Biography falls in here. Note that the Saturday Visitor Awards are intended to recognize artistic works rather than critical works, but due to the narrative nature of biography, that is why an SVA may fall in that category for biography. And then film or dramatic adaptation, theatrical interpretation, musical interpretation. We've had some wonderful winners, and I see Liam here this evening in the comments there here tonight, winners for music and adaptations of Poe's work. Second category, original works inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. Janice E.C. Coleman was one of our nominees last year in this category. Her novel inspired by Poe. Examples of this: Poe's life as character in film, as Poe as a character in a novel or play, or even people from his time, from his life in a film, novel, or play. A sequel, prequel, as basis for an original story inspired by Poe, and then of course poetry. I definitely welcome poets. Now, the thing to note about original works inspired by Poe, you do want to make sure that you're drawing a direct line from Poe to your work, and you'll be asked, if you enter in this category, to really illustrate that for the judges and really explain how Poe has inspired, in particular, that work. So it gives you an opportunity to just draw Poe to the present day. Now, eligibility, again, we go in much more in depth on the website. You can download all of the eligibility guidelines. A couple of things to note, and we get a lot of questions about this. Media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. These are the types of works that we're looking for the Saturday Visitor Awards. There are no restrictions regarding medium or genre. So we'd love to see comedy. We'd love to see really an interpretive dance, something like this. All of these things, as long as there's a direct line to Poe and you can illustrate that. Now, here's where things sometimes get a little confusing for folks. We are looking for works that have been released printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2020. The deadline for that, obviously about 2 weeks away if you're thinking about entering for next year's awards. But that means that any work created in the last 3 years are eligible. And of course, we phase out eligibility as time goes on. Now, reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. Now, I had one potential entrant send me a couple of really, really great questions about this. And what do we mean by this? The work has to illustrate that it's changed materially in a significant way. Otherwise, it is no longer eligible. Now, the judges will decide that. So if you feel that you can make the case that the work has materially changed from when it was perhaps first printed or first published, say 5 years ago, but a serious edit or a serious change in the work has changed substantially, or even jumped genre. So you've got a screenplay written perhaps or released, printed in 2015, but the film was made last year. The film would be your entry. So reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged, but the different components of works are eligible. And a work may be nominated in more than 1 year, but winning entries can't be entered again. So if you have been nominated in previous years and have not yet won, you can resubmit the work as long as you fall within these years of eligibility. So I hope that sort of gives folks a good overview of what we're really looking for. Looking ahead to looking in the comments for some questions. I do encourage everybody, this is an opportunity to send some questions my way if you have them. Some other frequently asked questions that we get. Are the awards for writing only? I think we've touched on that tonight. No, in fact, the awards are open to artists, filmmakers, theater groups, musicians, any member of the creative team. If you're a performer in a specific performance, you have the standing to, in fact, enter that piece. Now, the rights holder will have to give permission to be, let's say they do come up for nomination, we will contact the rights holder and ask if it is okay to have entered that piece. But any member of the creative team may enter the piece on behalf of the team. How are the nominees selected? Call for entries opens January 19th every year and close on May 30th. And then from these entries, the nominees are selected by a panel of judges that are invited by the board of directors for Poe Baltimore. Now, the board has endeavored to have representatives from some of the major Edgar Allan Poe sites around the United States. We've had members of the Poe Museum. Richmond Chris Sumner was one of our judges. He's the curator at the Poe Museum. He's been on our judges panel for the last 2 years. We had Pam Buckles from the American Writers Museum, really wonderful. We had representatives from different parts of Baltimore. Shantae Daniels, the wonderful executive director of the Baltimore National Heritage Area. She was on our panel this year. And then in previous years, we have had representatives from the Poe Cottage in New York City. And so we do try to pull from a diverse group of folks, and then the panels selected by invitation. And now, if anybody is interested in participating as a judge in future years, they may do so, and you can write to the organization to ask to join our panel in subsequent years. But I don't see any questions coming up in comments tonight. I do encourage everyone to please send your questions our way. I'm going to put that email address up here, contact@pofestinternational.org. If you have specific questions, you want to ask anything specific about your entry, or you want to be brave, you can enter your questions tonight. But contact@pofestinternational.org is definitely the place to go, place to send your info. And then SaturdayVisitorAwards.org for general information. Now, I see a question here. If possible, can submitted works be donated to the Poe Museum? My answer to that is which Poe Museum? Actually, that is outside my purview, whether or not the piece would be, the donation would be accepted by the museum, but that is a lovely idea. So please, can submitted works be donated? I'm sure that if you want to contact that specific Poe site or even Poe House, you can do so. All right, any other questions before we wrap this up this evening? Again, visit SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. And just for fun, I'm going to put up these dates to remember one more time because we don't want anybody to miss out. All right, January 19th, Poe's birthday. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Please join us next Monday. We will have another spotlight interview from another of our winners or nominees from the 2020 Saturday Visitor Awards. Thank you very, very much. Have a good evening, everyone.